Chapter 19: The Complacency Conundrum. Businesses all around the world make stupid assumptions about the future that are based on the past. Leaders think, if the revenue was X last year, then we must be on target to do Y next year. Or they might think, we attracted top talent in quarter 1, so in quarter 2, we'll continue to attract top talent as well. However, the reality is that if we define success as always growing, developing, reaching new heights, and expanding our footprint in terms of revenue, profit, and transformation, looking at the past is the last thing we want to do. It's amazing how many companies fall into complacency on the basis of the tiniest shred of success. They pat themselves on the back at the smallest bit of accomplishment and then race as fast as possible to do nothing. They choose not to do even one thing that could affect the growth of the company tomorrow. They don't move an inch. Think of Kodak in Chapter 17. They were in the photo business and an employee had an idea to digitize photos, from their own lab, no less. But that idea was never taken seriously because the leadership was stuck in the past. Kodak got it wrong about digital photos. Later in this chapter, we will look at a few more case studies of businesses and see where it all went wrong. Perhaps most important, we will discuss what you can learn from their mistakes to make sure they don't occur in your career or business. The common and underlying theme for all the companies in this section is that they got complacent. Complacency has an impact on both creativity and the bottom line. It's truly a castle made of sand, ignoring the tide that is mere inches away. Businesses that are built on lofty assumptions that the world will remain constant and their future success is assured will end up going out of business. Complacency is a one-way ticket to doom, a foolish journey that appears from the outside to be so easy to avoid, yet from the inside pulls down some of the giants of industry. We will look at what happens when complacency takes over and creativity dies. Complacency usually manifests in 3 distinct flavors. Number 1, the early warning. Number 2, exploitive sales. And number 3, paralysis of choice. No matter which flavor occurs, when creativity dies in a company or career, its eventual end is soon cast in stone. Let's take a look at 3 companies that have gone out of business and examine why one of my 3 distinct flavors of complacency ultimately led to their demise. Case Study 1. A toy business to learn from. Toys R Us was once a thriving business. Anyone who was a kid in the 1980s and early 1990s can remember that a visit to Toys R Us was one of the most special times of childhood. It was a store that was packed with toys of all kinds, with not an inch of empty space. With dolls, video games, bikes, silly putty, board games, remote control cars, and just about every other toy imaginable, it was like a fantasy land for kids. Toys R Us was started by Charles Lazarus in 1948 as a baby furniture store. As Lazarus began to add more toys to the store, he found that customers were coming in for the toys, not to buy furniture. And after several years of seeing this trend, he decided to open a dedicated toy store in 1957. He named it Toys R Us because he felt that most likely people would understand what he was doing from the get-go, and it worked. At its peak, Toys R Us operated 1,500 stores globally, including 900 in the United States. But soon, what worked so well was no longer enough. Why was Toys R Us beginning to falter, and what can we learn from this particular case of complacency? Let's take a look. Complacency sign number 1, the early warning. Every career or business change will signal what I call the early warning. It is a warning signal of some sort that indicates imminent change. Sometimes the change comes all at once, and sometimes it's a slow-moving mechanism. Yet in all cases, an early warning signal occurs, and it's your job to see it, listen to it, feel it, and otherwise recognize it. Toys R Us drove the car while looking in the rear-view mirror. Behind Toys R Us were years and years of growth and a track record of impressive sales that included healthy margins and rosy earnings. But they let this view blind their vision of what was in front of them. They did not perceive the early warning that was occurring all around them. For Toys R Us, the first early warning was that the internet was beginning to take shape in the late 1990s. New toy shops were opening up online, including Amazon. Then, by the early 2000s, people were buying toys as part of a larger shopping trip to other retailers, such as Walmart and Target. Convenience, not selection, was the norm of the day. People not only had more options, but more convenient ones too. Even though Toys R Us saw that the sale of toys online was the wave of the future, they did nothing about it because they got complacent. They chose to do nothing about the early warning happening all around them. The second early warning that Toys R Us did not pay attention to was that most retail stores had started moving toward curated experiences. A curated experience is a retail space environment where products can be touched, felt, and experienced firsthand. With the products taken out of the packaging and off the shelf, this is a retail space where products can come to life. At other toy stores, children were able to play with toys and products out of the box, allowing them to push the buttons, play with the toys, and see for themselves if they like them. Also, other retailers were beginning to make areas for experiences such as superhero zones and storytime hour to create other reasons to be at a store other than a purchase. But Toys R Us did none of these things, and eventually, Toys R Us went out of business for no other reason than that they got complacent and could not read their multiple early warnings. What in your career or business is approaching a shift or change in the way things have always been done? What is your early warning? This will be very specific to your career sector or business field, but it is out there to see only if you choose to see it and pay attention. To pay attention, you must look at what the market is doing and not assume that you are immune. Don't get so comfortable that you cannot see what others are doing. Take a look at your business as a whole and see if there are folks doing things a different way. Is there a shift in some subtleties of how the product or service is being delivered, consumed, or purchased? Even a slight difference can signal an early warning. Are people using the product or service in a new and different way? The comfort of looking to the past for answers is tempting, but to spark creativity, you must move out of yesterday and into tomorrow and look very carefully at what is going on around you. What is directly in front of you signaling the early warning of coming change that you can adapt to creatively? There may be 2 or 3 or more early warnings that you have to contend with, and here, priority is what matters most. If you are able to identify multiple early warnings, you must attach a priority to the one that is most likely to occur the soonest and visit the issue with the creator mindset tools to unblock progress.